Greetings, Storybrooke. I'm Bobby Hawk.
I'm Tony Hooper.
I'm Monica Jones.
And this is the land where we drift off together. And we also talk about ABC's hit series, Once Upon a Time. Hit series. After we just read the ratings, I don't know if I should say that anymore. But anyway, we love the show regardless. We love the show regardless. How are you guys doing this week? Monica?
Good.
Good. Tony, anything new this week?
Oh, nothing new this week.
Nothing.
This weekend is about so fast.
I hope this I hope this podcast goes by fast because there's going to be plenty to talk about. With the 2-hour event, they showed this week. It was, not only was there 2 hours of show, but I felt like each of the shows had quite a bit going on in it as far as revelations and everything else is concerned. So not only is there a lot of show to talk about, there's just a lot to talk about within each of those shows, which is kind of good, I guess. It was so packed that no one remembered to do a rhyming summary this week. Yeah, it happens. But hey, that's, we've got the full summary coming up right at you. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So in the first episode, Eloise Gardener, it's many years ago in the Wish realm, and Wish Hook is about to set sail when this, let me go ahead and blow this up. I'm sorry, start from scratch here. Okay. It's many years ago in the Wish realm. Wish Hook is about to set sail when this lands. Regina lets them know the curse won't be happening. The Charmings have stolen her magic and she needs his help to flee. Now that the curse isn't happening, he's worried how he'll get his revenge on the crocodile. She offers up a map on a distant realm where he can find a powerful witch. In Seattle, forensics has shown up to Big Red's murder scene. Rogers mills about looking for clues when Weaver shows up. He's not too happy that Rogers has been detectiving without him. Weaver tells him to go home, but Rogers lashes out, accusing him of working with Belfry, and says he won't stop until he finds Eloise. Henry and Jacinda show up to celebrate progress on the food truck. Jacinda is worried about how to make steady money so she can get Lucy back. Ronnie offers her a job at the bar. Henry thinks it may be time for that date, and Jacinda finally accepts. Drizella shows up to see that Regina, just as things are going well for Henry and Jacinda, Drizella shows up to see that Ronnie/Regina is staying on task. Across town, Victoria finally tells Lucy that she knows that she's been sneaking out and she's grounded. Lucy says she doesn't care because the curse will be broken soon anyway. After she leaves, Belfry heads upstairs for tea time with Witchy Poo. While there, she notices dirt. Witchy tries to play it off, but Victoria knows better. Okay, yeah. So I guess in my notes there, I was like, Smee! Okay, so it was really cool to see Smee there in the beginning.
I miss Smee. I do.
Not only was it, it was a character that hadn't been around in actually the in Once Upon a Time in quite a while. Didn't he get turned into like a mouse or a rat or at some point?
Yeah, but he did come back afterwards.
Yep.
Did he come back after? I wasn't sure. Okay.
It was very small.
I don't remember when or how, but I do remember.
But anyway, I thought that was really cool to have an opportunity to see him back, and through the course of the episode, I'm sure we'll mention later. It's really cool to see where he goes from there. Beyond that, I also had to mention that finally someone calls out Lucy as far as the whole sneaking out thing.
Amen.
I don't understand how that took so long to happen, but yeah.
Terrible.
Okay. Tony, did you have anything to add about the first act here?
Yes. So basically, I don't know if it was anybody else, whoever got this feeling, but did anybody kind of feel like Regina had lost her fierceness, like her flair, her whole persona, basically? She kind of made it seem like, oh, woe is me, my powers are gone, and the Charming stole it. It's like, come on, really?
And her just being so open about being
powerless.
Weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just felt weird to me.
It was like, come on. This is not the evil queen that we've grown to love and slash hate and all this other stuff for these
Well,
past 6 years.
technically, it's not.
And yes, no, it's
True.
not. But
I mean,
come on,
Still.
that was bad.
It's not like her.
It was terrible.
I guess I to be honest with you, I hadn't even given two thoughts about it. I can see where you're coming from as far as the powerful thing goes. She did try to lash out at Smee at that one moment, but then couldn't. And she was still, I mean, obviously, she was still sassy, but she can't be like evil and like she no longer has power. No longer has power, so she can't like come at people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, Smee probably could have taken her.
Who?
Smee.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like just.
I mean, I don't know. I can. In hindsight, I can kind of see where you're coming from there, but in all honesty, it wasn't really an issue for me as I was watching the episode.
And also to recap on what you basically said, basically it took 7 episodes for her to ground Lucy. Like what? Hold on.
Notice.
You didn't even you made it seem like you made it like you didn't even notice she was missing, and all of the times that you could have said, "Oh, you're grounded," or blah, 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 blah. Like, all those times you had, and it took you 7 episodes to say, "Oh, you're grounded." What?
No, I totally.
And maybe she did notice before, but
I don't
just
know.
now you want to remember?
I'm calling Fred on this one. I'm calling Fred on this one, you guys.
Oh God.
I'm calling Fred.
A Fred in every department.
Fred?
Yes, I am calling the Fred card. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Remember last week? It was Fred. I forgot what department it was last week, but it was Fred's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Continuity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Fred and continuity.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You
don't remember that, Monica? Oh, never mind. Never mind. All right. So, is there anything else to add before we move on?
Nope. That was it.
All right. Moving on. Let me go ahead and grab my notes again. And moving on to the second act. Roger shuffles through papers, frantically looking for clues. He and Henry discuss the case. Henry suggests the unthinkable, and Rogers tells him that he's been with this too long. He would know if the girl was dead. Henry offers to help, and off they go. In the past, we find Smee and Hook navigating till they find the tower. Hook makes his ascension, but instead of a witch, finds a beautiful young woman with very long hair and a frying pan. She tells him the witch used a flower to trap her in the tower. She grows them in her secret garden, and it's the only thing that can free her. Hook thinks he can use it to trap the Dark One for eternity. He agrees to help and goes to find the flower. In the Heights, Rogers and Henry search for Tilly and find her hawking watches. They need her help with the Gardner case. She looks at the journal and suggests the girl may have run away. Maybe she just doesn't want to be found. But she offers to look into it. At Belfry Towers, Victoria searches the tapes for who may be helping the witch, but it seems that they've been scrubbed. She goes to Ivy's desk and finds that the shoes covered in dirt. Weaver interrupts her impromptu investigation to let her know that Rogers is getting close. She tells Weaver to stop him, but he says it's not that easy. She tells him if he can't, she'll find someone who can permanently. All right. I don't know if I really have anything a lot to add. I did like Tangled is one, in my opinion, is one of like my favorite recent Disney movies. Definitely I wouldn't say it's like my favorite Disney movie. I'd probably throw Aladdin or Lion King up there, maybe even something earlier. But I definitely think Tangled was a bit underrated. But as far as this seemed to be more of like closer to that interpretation, like the Tangled interpretation. Any thoughts on that? Especially the frying pan. When she grabbed the frying pan, I mean, it was like dead on. Have you guys seen Tangled?
Yes,
I
I
have not.
and yes, I have, and I thought that part was funny when she came up with the fire.
Yeah. I thought it was great. I mean, and they didn't even. There wasn't a lot of a lot paid to it. It wasn't like they really pointed it out. It was just kind of a little subtle. She was just holding that.
It was not subtle. I haven't seen it and I caught it.
Oh, I'm just saying that it wasn't like, I don't know. I've seen a lot more blatant Disney nods, and I just didn't. I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like it was in my face.
Oh no, definitely. I thought it was a bit of
a trip over the hair. However, that was
yeah, that was funny too.
But yeah, like I said, it's definitely treaded a little closer to the Disney version of Rapunzel. What were your thoughts about this act, Tony?
So yeah, this act, like I said, I also agree with your comment there about liking the Disney adaptation of Rapunzel and how her coming out of the shadows with the frying pan. I mean, like, it was a great scene to to do the usual Disney nod and things like that too. I don't know if we have mentioned. Oh no, you know what? Actually, I'm going to mention it now. With my point here. Honestly, who in the world notices a very small speck of dirt on the ground and says, "Who's been up here?" It makes no sense. Dang it, Fred.
I mean, they had to point it out somehow, but at the same time, it's like,
I don't believe it.
Freak that. I mean, I don't know. Again, it was in hindsight, I can kind of see where you're coming from, but it wasn't really something I really thought about during the viewing, I guess I'll say.
I'm going to definitely be ringing the Fred bell tonight.
Actually.
And it wasn't a speck of dirt. It was
like a clump.
It was a clump.
Yeah. I don't know.
It like, how do you even track something like that in unless you're like a construction worker or something? You don't have like track that in on pumps.
I mean, to me, it just really just like it was like a speck of dirt, and then you just happen to be like, yeah, I'm just walk on out of the attic here, and go down the elevator. Oh, look, I see some dirt.
Yeah, but like she said, it was like almost like it was like came out of a potted plant. It was like a pile of dirt. It wasn't even just look, something fell off someone's shoe. So I mean, but that's even more like, I don't know. That's like going back to the scene in the one episode where they just had a nondescript bottle of blue pills with like no label or anything. They might as well have just had like a skull crossbone on there or something. I mean,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, it just goes to like what they have to make play on camera. It's just that type of stuff that you kind of look the other way and not think about. It looked like there was something you had a problem with, Monica.
Oh, so the scene with Hook out on the outdoor space at Ronnie's, and he's going through the papers, and all of a sudden his non-existent hand works again.
Yeah, and then later in the episode when he's cutting that cake, he's like holding the fake hand by his like side while he cuts the cake with his good hand. So like it's like sometimes he forgets that he can use it, and sometimes
right. Sometimes he remembers and sometimes he forgets.
Like if it's a pointed thing like that cake thing that he's like, yeah, oh yeah, I've only got one hand. But then like if he's like handing one hand off to the other or holding something with both hands or something. Doesn't think about it.
Yeah, and the other thing I had with this bit was where did Ivy go without her shoes?
Oh, well,
Uh,
I think they make it clear later in the episode that this was all staged, that she planted all of this. So I would say that she, well, even if that wasn't the case, the Belfries are the type of people that would have another 2 or 3 pairs of shoes at work with them.
Definitely. I don't know why she would mess up with her shoes, but still.
Go ahead, Monica.
Even if, I mean, it okay, so presuming it wasn't staged, why would she not have cleaned? This is the woman who complained about ruining her nails.
Yeah, why would she just leave her
gathering that dirt?
Yeah, why would she just leave her shoes there like that if she obviously took them off knowing that they were on, the dirt was on there? Unless
why would she not have cleaned that up immediately?
Right, or had them cleaned. I don't think she would do it herself.
No.
I just that scene just irritated me.
Like to me, this is a former like you got to think about it. This is an actress that played a former queen. You think she clean her own shoes? Honestly,
if that men picked up yet.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next act here. Hook and Smee search for the flower. Hook says that they must hurry. This is a witch's garden. It must be guarded by something more ferocious than a porcelain gnome. He tells me they must sing to find the flower, something to do with the power of music revealing the heart. He begins to sing a shanty when the previously benign garden gnome gets all ferocious and stuff. Apparently, that was the wrong song. The gnome continues to attack until Hook finally starts singing a very lovely song that makes the gnome crumble. Someone asks where the shanty, or Smee asks where the shanty came from. Hook tells him it's a lullaby his mother sang before she died. He sends Smee back to the ship as he heads back to help Rapunzel. Victoria goes to the tower to tell the witch that she knows about Ivy. The witch tells her that she's been blinded by her obsession with her other daughter. Victoria says Ivy is nothing without the witch and takes her away. Back at Ronnie's, Jacinda tells Ronnie about her date with Henry. Ronnie says the timing may be wrong. With Jacinda trying to get Lucy back, the social workers may not think it's great to be starting a new relationship. Jacinda seems to reluctantly agree. Tilly is late. Rogers tells Henry why he blames himself about the girl while they wait for her. When she finally shows, she has a page that seems to have been ripped from the journal. And apparently there was a girl, but there was a car accident. Eloise is dead. Rogers goes off to be alone. Okay, so I just mentioned I like this line that Smee had, your troubles and beautiful women tend to go hand in hand. I just thought that was a good line. Another line I liked here. What was it? Why must women's footwear be the bane of my existence? So I just thought that was a pretty nice on the nose line from Belfry. But then I do have a note that this episode seemed to be talking a lot about obsession. First, there's Weaver talks to Rogers about being obsessed and how dangerous that can be. The witch talks of Belfry's obsession, with her daughter Anastasia. And then Ivy's so obsessed that she's probably, blind, that she's being played by the witch, in my opinion. So yeah, that was kind of my notes on that, on those sets of scenes. Tony, did you have something to add?
Yeah, one thing that I did forget to mention in the previous, it seems that, and it'll also tie with this too, but it seems that we all know who is really pulling the strings here. It's between Drizella and Gothel. like it's just to me it's making much more sense that Belfry is solely purpose is to get her daughter Anastasia back to life and and alive and things like that. And it just really just seems that that's all that she's working out for. But it also ties into the fact that I believe that you're right when it comes to this episode and just things about the show period. When playing with obsessions. So
Mhm.
basically, how evil plays on plays on other characters' obsessions and making them into like a kind of a bad reality. Like when they bring it to the surface, it seems that villains are taking that cue of basically playing with people's obsessions and
All the villains seem to be. I mean, you had Regina was obsessed with Snow White for one reason or another. You had Rumple, who was obsessed with just being with his son, and how dark of a turn that took. But like you said, just the fact that it was obsession, even with it being such, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. With no malintent. It wasn't like to begin with, all he was trying to do was keep his family together. But in the end, his obsession with that led to, his downfall and his
exactly.
family's downfall.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and also I had mentioned something about him fighting with his rum and things like that, and of course Captain Hook wouldn't do anything without his rum. But those are just my points.
Okay. Monica, did you have anything to add before we move on?
Not on this. Yeah.
Okay. Yo ho ho.
Yo ho ho.
Rogers begins. Rogers begins to find solace. Speaking of a bottle, Rogers begins to find solace in a bottle, but slams it down in disgust. The bottle splashes on the journal, and he notices the colors run on the torn page. In the realms, Hook returns to Rapunzel. Apparently, abandoning people just isn't his thing. Hook asks how the flower will help her, but she quickly changes the topic to other things. He thinks maybe they should leave the tower, but she has other things on her mind. At Ronnie's, Henry shows up to take Jacinda on that.
Something he hasn't done in a while.
At Ronnie's, Henry shows up to take Jacinda on that date, but she tells him that she's working a double. He tries to make a rain check, but she blows it off. Ronnie is obviously not pleased with how well her plan is going. At the precinct, Weaver is in the evidence room. He opens the box and pulls out a very familiar dagger. He's interrupted by Rogers, who wants to ask him about that page Tilly brought him. He tells him that when the ink ran, he knew it was fake. He accuses Weaver of working with Belfry. He tells Rogers Belfry did ask him to stop him, but that's not why he did it. He's trying to protect Rogers. Rogers says he knows she's alive and he'll find her. Rogers tells him Eloise Gardener is not who he's looking for. Again, I guess the big thing there is the dagger. I mean, I'm still kind of half wondering here if he really, like, at first I was like, is he awake? Isn't he awake? Kind of on Tony's side where, he's kind of maybe half awake, doesn't really quite, trying to piece it all together. But I don't know, man, that like him pulling that dagger out of there like that. I mean,
that's gotta be awake. That sounds
yes.
awake to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see where else it could be.
And yet later on, he plays it so chill.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, the fact that he's trying to keep Hook from going down whatever road he's going down. Yeah, I mean, just as he always is, Rumple seems to be 4 or 5 steps ahead of everyone else, even when he seems to be 4 or 5 steps behind. Yeah, I really don't know. Like I said, as soon as he pulled that dagger out of there, that was just like, yeah, I don't see. You can't not be awake.
Exactly. You cannot be. You cannot be surprised and say, "What is this in the evidence room?" It's some type of knife somebody used or whatever. I can see him doing that little bit of a cover up. Like this is a knife that we received. That we picked up in a case or whatever.
I guess the only question really is then is was he always awake, or was it the gunshot that woke him, or whatever, interaction with Tilly,
To be honest with you, I think it's always a trigger that really, wakes people up. If you ever really notice,
hearing his name woke him.
Like hearing his name woke him, or maybe when he was in that bit of a state of trauma of being woken up from being shot, that could have been something. Like anything, like it just seems like when this show tries to wake up somebody, it seems like it takes
he was under the curse at first, though.
I don't think so, because I mean, like, well, it's like as soon as you let me put in my point, I'm gonna answer that question for you.
Go ahead. That's where we're leading.
Okay, so basically, if anything, Rumpel has had time to perfect, being 5-6 steps ahead of any curse that has ever been casted on this show.
Okay,
you've been through an entirety of what, 3-4 curses, and they're all based off the same thing, losing your memory. You would think he would at least, have said, okay, hey, there's another curse coming. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I retain my memory so I can take care of my, my needs and things, and I can do what I need to do while everybody else is still asleep. You would think he would have, perfected that, or at least would have prepared for that.
I agree, but at the same time, I do agree with what you said before, that there has to be some sort of trigger. And so I feel like it was the name, like when Tilly called him Rumpelstiltskin. Now, why Tilly remembers and has to take these meds to forget, that's another question.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like maybe they were, I don't know, magic pills or something to block her memory, something like that. I don't know.
Another thing, no, go ahead, Monica. Please go ahead.
I'm with you on this one, Bobby. I think that Rumpel didn't remember until that interaction with Tilly. And for a while, I was thinking it was because Tilly was the
Guardian.
Yes, thank you. But with this episode, or these 2 episodes, I don't think she's the Guardian yet.
But that's what I was just. That's not to say that she's not the Guardian. And like you just, again, I'll add the disclaimer yet, because I mean, there was, I think we even discussed it, the whole timing of Belle telling, or no, I think it was Rumpel telling Gideon that he was off to find the Guardian. And then as soon as he stepped through that portal, he runs into Alice. I don't think that was, a coincidence. They're really telegraphing a lot with this season. I mean, we'll come to the biggest telegraph here in a moment. Going through the episode. But yeah, I really don't think this is a season where they're kind of trying to hide a lot from us.
No, because I mean,
most of the stuff that has been played out has been pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm. And also, it just seems like, with how everything's going on with our ratings, things like that, it's like, okay, we've basically taken this long break, and without no questions answered, so we're just going to quickly throw it at people and say, hey, this is that.
Yeah. I kind of feel like what it was. This was episode 8, right?
This is episode 7.
7 and 8.
That's what I meant. 7, 2 episodes we have. So we're up to, we've gone past 8. So now we have 2 more episodes. Isn't like 10 like the hiatus?
I believe so.
Yeah. So we only have 2 more episodes before we're off for like a month or 2, probably.
I thought it was till for the winter finale leading into spring.
Right. But I mean, that's usually like from, I don't know, Christmas to March. So January and February. something like that along those lines. I'm not,
Something like that.
I don't have dates in front of me.
But it's close enough.
Right, roughly.
We don't have dates yet. Officially.
Right. No one's put out official dates. That's correct, Monty. There was something I wanted to add. I don't remember. Oh, I do remember now. You know what? I'll save that for later in the episode. I'll save that for later. So if no one else has anything to add, I will be moving on.
Nope. That's
great. So Rogers goes to Belfry's tower to question her about Eloise. Ivy says she doesn't think her mother is capable. Roger tells her that she is, and he wants the tracker info for her car. In the magic tower, it's morning, and Hook and Rapunzel are just waking up from a night of doing other things. They begin to kiss and are interrupted by the cries of a baby. Hook's like, I didn't know you had a baby. And she's like, I didn't. And so he's like, well, where did that come from? And she's like, you know where. And
the usual way.
He grabs the baby and transforms into the witch. Apparently, things went a little differently in this realm. Rapunzel was able to turn the tables on the witch and trap her in the tower instead. Oh, come on. It seems the only way out is to trade places with someone in her bloodline. That's where the baby comes in. She offers to help him and find his revenge, but he can't leave the baby behind. Back in Seattle, Rogers takes Belfry's car to one of her many properties, or tracks Belfry's car to one of her many properties. He finds her in the basement and cuffs her to some shelves while he looks for Eloise. He finds a girl cowering in a corner when she stands, we see Rogers has mistaken Gothel for Eloise. Gothel, I don't know how to pronounce it. Thank you. Bethel tries to tell him he's made a mistake, but he won't hear it. Okay, so okay, like I was just saying in the last segment about the whole telegraphing thing, when that whole scene where oh wait, we find that later. Okay, I guess I'll talk about that in a moment. Never mind. Tony, what do you have to add about this?
I don't know. I mean, my question is, and maybe I may have missed it. Maybe this is the point of the whole episode. But have we established that Gothel is Eloise Gardener, or is that what she's going by because the real Eloise Gardener is still out there? My question.
I don't think that. Okay, I mean, this kind of goes to what I was gonna say at the end, but I'll just a little bit here is that I don't think Eloise Gardener was anyone. I don't think it's like Tilly's past or anything like that. I mean, I don't quite understand where they're going with that. I don't think Eloise Gardener. I mean, it almost goes to a line that Hooks has in this episode that Eloise Gardener is an idea. It's not a person.
Ooh.
You know?
So basically, this missing girl case has now...
It was just part of the curse. It was just part of the curse. And let me just go ahead and say this now, just because this is where the conversation is leading, and this is a conversational podcast. I don't know why it's just now hitting me this season. Maybe it's because there's so many... I don't even know the word I'm looking for. Like how does Belfry have custody of Lucy? How has Nick been gone for 10 years and Sabine knows about him? Like none of this is even making sense. And the only way it even makes sense is because it's a curse. And so beyond that, like, why does any of it matter? You know? Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, this Nick person isn't Lucy's dad. Nick and Jacinda didn't share a past. I mean, just all of this. Why does any of this matter if it's not real, if it didn't really happen?
I guess to throw us off of the trail is what Henry used to say when he was 10. Throw us off the trail to make us think.
like I said, I don't know why it hit me in this past episode or two, but it was like I was watching the episodes and I was just like,
I have a point about that in a few.
I think it has to do with like the whole. No, because there was the whole 10 years with I don't know. I don't understand it at all. I try to make the timeline go together, but I mean that's just a totally different story. I'm just saying I just don't understand why I'm supposed to care about anything that's happening, or at the very okay. I can understand why I'm supposed to care about what is happening. What I don't understand is why I should care about what happened in the past.
The backstory of the curse.
Right, because
the backstory of the curse.
Because it's the story of the curse. I mean, I guess that makes it interesting. But like I said, in the long run, really, it's all a moot point. So I don't know.
It kind of makes me think like, okay, if he's supposed to have been gone for 10 years, between the time when Lucy was born, because it kind of makes you think kind of like Lucy had to have been born in the other realm, because it started out as the last episode of season 6. She was there.
Who's to say? Because at this point right now, like we still, even in their timeline, all we've come up to is the point of them getting together. We still don't know like when the curse took place. Maybe they were cursed when well, no, because at the beginning of the season we see Lucy in the other realm take the book from Henry and run off. Right?
That's what I was going to say. Like, basically, when we first see Lucy, she is in the other realm with her father.
Right, right, and Cinderella's not there.
Not even there. So,
right.
So who's to say, like, if something may have happened to her previously?
To Cinderella, like maybe she was. Like he was raising Lucy as a single father for the time being, because Cinderella and I don't know, maybe Henry and
maybe
I'm thinking love triangle. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's got to be a love triangle, because Nick does have an other realm persona.
Yeah, but I don't see. But I mean, we see them as good friends there. I really don't think that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's hard to say.
But Lucy is born after the resistance. Like after they have met together in the resistance.
No, I understand
Lucy came afterwards, and it seems as though is that to explain to everybody here why Ella is nowhere to be found, and how Jack may be the father of Lucy, period. It's just that the fact that when we first encounter Lucy, she's got the book, she's at the the hut, where her and her father live, because it kind of makes you think like, wait a minute, Cinderella's supposed to be royalty in this one. Like, of course, Cinderella isn't royalty like in the original ones for 1 through 6. She isn't royalty as of yet, but in this one, it seems like she is royalty in this one already. But it kind of makes you think like, okay, wait a minute. So why isn't Cinderella with you guys? Where is she? What's going on? It's kind of not even making that much sense that why they would even be in a hut versus being in a castle, I guess. Like, I don't.
Well, if
I'm not getting the time out myself.
If they were part of the resistance, then they were fighting against Lady Tremaine, who would ultimately, if Cinderella is royalty, have Tremaine would unfortunately have access to that land and everything else. So in that case, if Cinderella and Henry had joined the resistance, then that's why they would be staying in a hut or whatever else like that.
Exactly.
I
don't know this. I'm guessing until they have the timeline where, until they place in the timeline when Lucy is being born, like how Emma had not Emma, but how Snow had Emma, the time of the curse coming, then I guess we'll never really know until they have that.
Well, I mean, they more or less said tonight that she was, 10. They confirmed what we've been saying is it's 10 years. Mm-hmm. But I really don't quite understand.
Heights, not the other realms.
10 years what?
10 years Hyperion Heights time, not the realms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but either way, it's 10 years that Lucy was born. Mm-hmm. And then there's another weird thing about timing in the realms and stuff that I want to bring up. I think it may be in the next segment as well, so we'll get there in a moment. Actually, it may even be in the next episode now that I'm thinking about it. But regardless, let's go ahead and move on before it gets too late, and because we just wasted. Well, I wouldn't say wasted. We just spent quite a bit of time on just that one segment there. Anyway, Hook. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot here. And he won't hear. Okay, yep. Hook returns to the wharf to tell them he won't be joining them. Smee is the captain now. He has more pressing concerns than revenge. Regina asks what's more important than revenge. Cut to Roger singing a lullaby to his newborn. He thinks he should have a name, but only loved one person enough to pass on their name. His mother, Alice. Sirens blare as people clamor and Eloise is led into an ambulance. Tilly shows up to apologize to Rogers, but he's not mad, just disappointed. Belfry's being led away in cuffs when Ivy shows and asks for a few moments. Victoria tells her to drop the charade. Drusilla admits to setting it all in motion so that she can finally be free, and now so is Gothel. Belfry tells her that she has no idea what she's done. Henry rushes into Ronnie's with the news about Belfry. It goes to reason that she won't have custody now, and Jacinda runs to be with Lucy. When she arrives, Ivy is trying to convince social workers not to take Lucy. They say that she was taken for a reason and procedure must be followed. Lucy cries for her mom as they take her away, and Jacinda promises she will get her back. So ends Eloise Garden. So, okay, Tony, looks like you had a little bit to add here.
Mm-hmm. So basically, this goes back to our previous conversation. What's that reason? There's got to be some type of explanation as to the reason why, she was given up, and not just because of what was done via Jacinda. I believe that there's got to be some type of explanation as to why she felt like she had to do it at that appropriate time.
But see, and that again, that all just goes back to like I just said before. Why does any of that even matter at this? Like it's all because in the end, all it is just a story that the curse told us. Mm-hmm. None of it's real anyway. Because like for a long time, I've been beating that drum since the beginning, Tony. Why? How does this like ultimately non-related person have custody of Lucy? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. And they
would have been the same way. Like I feel like it would have been the same way had they not explained how Henry came into Regina's care too.
Well, at least with Regina, there was an adoption. I mean, now granted, it was kind of seemed to be fixed by Rumple and a few, there were extenuating circumstances. But I mean, when all is said and done with, I mean, it was an adoption that, like I said, that Rumple, made happen as far as who the person was. But I mean, I can understand that. But
then it all goes down to it. For the fact of the matter is that with Emma giving up Henry the way she did, that wasn't by a curse. That was by circumstances. So maybe it just seems like Jacinda also had those circumstances, unless they put down and set in stone that, hey, Jacinda did this. Like Jacinda had signed over her rights because she had to do this, or she had to do B, or she had to do C.
But see, here's the thing, though. Well, here's the thing. With what happened with Henry and Emma and everything like that, that was fate. That was like fate leading Henry to Storybrooke so that he could find Emma and bring her back there. That was all fated to happen to break the curse. And that happened in real time. Whereas what we have here, we just discussed, is that like it's a fake 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've already seen Lucy at roughly this age in the other realm fighting to save whatever curse was about to happen. So what we have is a curse that has made everyone think that these past 10 years have happened this way, when in all actuality, they've happened this way.
Right. I understand.
So I guess that's the difference for me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess if they feel like they have to explain, what the 10 years mean in Hyperion Heights versus what it means in the other realms, then I guess they will explain it. But at this point in time, it just seems like, you're right with what you're saying. Why is it important for us to know? Does it have to do with the actual plot? Is it, is it something that we should know? I guess.
I mean, I can kind of see the love triangle thing that you were coming at with Nick/Jack and Henry and Jacinda/Cinderella. Just Cinderella, I don't know. I mean,
so much.
Sorry. But yeah, I really don't think that it's going to go that way. I think it's just going to be, Henry and Ella. Because that's his whole thing from the beginning. It's been like, they're the Snow White and Charming of this new iteration.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really don't think they're going to sully that by making, like, maybe say Lucy actually the daughter of Nick. I think it's just like Lucy points out. We have a classic. But all that happens in the next episode, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe. No, I thought it was. Yeah, no, it does. Next
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So we're jumping the gun here for a moment. I think we've said all we've had to say about Eloise Gardener.
Yeah.
It was really cool to get a bit of backstory on on Wishhook, Althook, whatever you want to call him. Yeah,
that's where he came from, the Wish realm.
Yeah. And so I like the backstory they're adding, the depth to that character.
Making it seem like he's a real person and not just an alternate persona.
So then one real quick question then before we move on to the next hour. Do we want to rate this as 2 separate episodes, or do we want to rate this as 1 episode?
I would say 2 separate.
Okay, well then let's take a moment then and rate this episode. Before we move on to the next one. Arbitrary scale. Really arbitrary. I hadn't even thought about it.
Something clump dirts.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's say 30 or out of 27 clumps of dirt tracked in by Drizella. She's filthy. 27 clumps of dirt. You know what? I really, like I said, being that I liked the backstory with Hook and whatnot, and like most of the revelations and whatnot of this episode. Is he awake? Isn't he? All these I'm gonna go with 22 out of 27.
Nice.
What about you, Tony? What do you think?
Yeah, around the same, but 20 actually. So 20 out of 27 comes with that.
Okay.
Like, and, the same reasons.
Monica?
23.
Okay, so we're all...
Because I love the Hook backstory. That made the episode for me.
Agreed. I mean, granted that the episode was called Eloise Gardener.
Right.
But it still had to do with Hook in many different ways.
And then just to speak for just a moment to what you had asked about the name Eloise Gardener. I'm kind of torn as far as to who it actually is supposed to be, pertaining to. Now there is the last name Gardner, so I would think that that would be pertaining to the witch, because we do hear a lot about her garden. Ivy tells her to go to her garden. We hear about her secret garden where she grows stuff.
Mhm.
So that would seem that at the very least that part of the name would pertain to her. But then Eloise, very close to Alice, just in structure, the name itself, Eloise, Alice. Um, so I don't know. It's hard to say. But then like that journal could just be like a book of like cantations and spells and runes, instead of just a journal of whatever, like maybe some of those things, like even the Big Red before he passed was, said that uh, figure that was on his arm was like a magical rune meant to ward off evil. So if someone's dealing with some magic that powerful, maybe it is the witch's notebook.
Right. It would
I
make sense.
kind of wanted him to be Ralph, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think
the only one.
throwaway line. I think that was just a throwaway line. But I do think we got another character. I was gonna say Pixar character, but I forgot that we determined that Ralph is not Pixar.
He's just played on Walt Disney.
Yeah, but there was a throwaway. Well, not throwaway. There was a nod to another Pixar character, I believe. I believe it's Pixar. Yeah, Pixar. In the next episode.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that, or?
I may have missed it, but
We'll get to it. I believe I put it in the notes. But anyway, we have scored the first episode. Moving on to the second. Open on Henry and Ella sparring in the woods. Tensions rise, and they almost. Oh, give me just a second. My notes will not blow up. There we go. They almost share a kiss, but Ella turns away at the last second. They both apologize. She says it's complicated, and they hear a noise and find Alice. She asks for their help in finding someone. They bring her back to camp and reunite her with her father, Hook. He reminds her that his heart is poisoned, but she says that she found a cure. They embrace, and Hook is thrown across the forest floor. Alice is frightened and runs off. Ella and Henry run after her. She runs through a portal, and Henry hesitates, but Ella runs through, and Henry follows close behind. Sabine waits outside the home as Jacinda says goodbye to Lucy. Sabine suggests Jacinda find a lawyer. Sabine says she knows one. Jacinda seems reluctant, but may have no choice. At Ronnie's, Henry interviews Ivy for his blog. She tells him that she feels like she can really trust him. She offers to turn his blog into a podcast when Ronnie interrupts to ask Henry for help with a stuck door, leaving Drizella and Regina to have a little girl talk. Regina tells her to stay away from Henry. She may not have magic, but a baseball bat can work in a pinch. So yeah, first of all, great line there, obviously, or else I wouldn't have put it in the notes like that. Let's see. Is there anything you want to add here, Tony?
Oh, hey, look, Sabine is back. She's only been missing for like what, 3 episodes?
Been that long?
I think like 2 or 3 episodes.
Well, I know that when the character and the actress were first brought on, she was only going to be recurring. Yeah, and then they made her regular, so that might have a little to do with it,
But I mean, like, if they did that beforehand, it would have been nice for her to be a part of the episodes somehow, I guess.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Okay, so tell me this: how long is Gisela going to play the I don't know what's going on game?
Yeah, and in some of those scenes, she just I don't know if it's bad acting or what. It's not bad acting though, because I feel like the actress is.
She's doing a great job, but it's just more of a character thing. Like, when is this character going to stop playing? Oh, I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on, and you know, bring her true self to the light. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm just liking how the story is quickly unfolding, and it's not taking a whole 22 episodes like season 1 did. You know, to bring everything to the light. I guess.
No, I hear you. And like I said, we only got 2 more episodes till the hiatus anyway, so I think that has a lot to do with how quickly everything's unraveling.
Oh, and I'm ready for Regina to go all, you know, like
Megan.
like of the bat on Gisella's face.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah, it's like I'm so ready for that. I'm so ready for that.
Yeah,
she needs to go full on Negan.
Please,
yep.
yes. All we need is some barbed wire over it so we can call her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to add, Monica, before we move on?
Oh, so my only thing with this bit was, Sabine says, so I did a little bit of social media stalking, and guess what I found? And suddenly, Jacinda knows what she's talking about. Because I sure as hell didn't. And if she had talked to a guy in a decade, why would she know what was going on?
Although
that point was just totally lost on me.
No. I definitely had the same concerns. Although, to play devil's advocate, I will say that more than likely, if this, if this woman knew who her, baby's daddy was, then she would more than likely be up to date on his whereabouts and what he was up to, even if she didn't publicly say she did. I'm sure in the past she's looked him up on Facebook just to see,
where he's at.
Yeah, where he's at, what he's up to, if, what did I make a mistake leaving him, just the different things that go through your head in that type of situation. I don't know. I like I said, just devil's advocate, I could see that situation playing out. So,
she just didn't seem to give a rat's ass where he was.
That's true. And I mean, she even says in the episode that she didn't even realize, it'd been 10 years since she'd even heard from this guy. So, but like I said, even girls, I'm not going to say girls, even people who say that, will, still kind of, those moments, those days where you're curious, grass greener, you know what I'm saying? And you just kind of feel like, oh, I wonder what that guy's up to, or I wonder what that girl's up to, Exactly. So I like I said, I could definitely see that happening.
I agree.
So, moving on, Rogers received a hero as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I do, does anyone else have anything to add?
No.
Okay. I just didn't want to step on any toes before I moved on. Sorry.
I was with you when you said, all right.
Rogers receives a hero's welcome when he returns to the precinct. Weaver repeats his previous warning. He's about forgot what he said. Never mind, I didn't put this in the notes. He sits down at his desk and finds Eloise. She's baked a cake to thank him. Henry sits at Ronnie's working on his blog. A stranger interrupts him to appreciate his choice of music. They introduce each other before Jacinda has a chance to. Apparently, Nick here is the lawyer Sabine suggested. Turns out he's also Lucy's dad. He's shown up to get paperwork from Jacinda. Awkward. Henry tries to play it cool, but is obviously shaken. Ella and Henry come through a portal to Neverland and are instantly ensnared in a net. Ella reaches for his sword and cuts them free. Henry tells them his family motto. She says this is a land of broken promises and things work differently here. Henry shows up at the group home to bring Lucy a copy of his book. She wants to find out who this Nick guy is. She says they have a classic Catherine situation. The curse brought Nick in to keep Jacinda and Henry apart. Henry jokingly asks what he should do when Nick is already slaying the dragon. Lucy says she knows another dragon he can slay.
Ooh. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead, Tony. Go right ahead.
But it just seems like we now know what the name of this realm is called, unless she meant it as a joke.
Of broken promises.
Yeah.
Oh.
The land of broken promises, because you know how we have the land without magic, the land without color.
No, I could definitely taking off. I mean, I knew exactly where you were going when you said it. So I mean, and to be honest with you, it's not the first time they've mentioned or referred to it as such. So yeah,
slow one right there.
Jacinda has said, the exact same thing. Not, I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but I know it's been said before. So, like I said, I mean, I could definitely see this just being the land of broken promises. Now, why that land came to be, and why all these stories are connected and all these other things, that's a whole nother issue. But whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could definitely see this just becoming the land of broken promises.
I like it because,
but it looks like you had a few more things to add here, Tony.
I did. Look, everyone, it's Jackson from the originals. Woo!
I
I do. I am in total love with that show. Don't tell anybody I said that. Shh.
Oh, I love Jackson. I'm so sad he died.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he's on this show and no longer on that one, I would suspect that there was something happened there. But yeah, I never watched even Vampire Diaries, let alone the originals. So I
love them both.
Oh, he wasn't on Vampire Diaries.
No, I'm just saying that I didn't. I'm not familiar with that franchise.
It is great.
Great.
It is better than that sparkling crap they call Twilight. Yes, I said it. You can come and threaten me with emails and stuff like that, but I'm sorry.
All right.
Vampires don't sparkle.
But then it seems to have a theory about Nick here.
I did. So basically, a friend of mine, we were also talking about the theory that we had beforehand about there being a love triangle. And we were thinking that maybe with the timing and things like that of Jack coming into the picture, how it kind of seemed like either Ella was thrown off by him approaching them, or maybe it was a simple, oh, he's this, he's that, like either he's attractive or things like that. But we were just talking about that as a kind of a theory that there may be, like maybe there is a very small chance of a love attraction. Who knows? I don't know, but it was a wild theory.
Well, I will say that, in all honesty, that theory had crossed my mind when we first see especially when we first see the trio there. And then with what's going on with the curse, like you just said, that maybe it's something that, like, okay, Jacinda had mentioned about her stepfather, being the only father she ever knew and all these other things. So maybe it's some weird thing that, like, her and Nick ended up, or her and Jack rather, ended up getting together, but then, and then that ended, that created Lucy, but then ultimately that didn't work out. And so, Henry is the only father that Lucy has ever known, and so that correlates to what the story that Cinderella, whatever you want to say, said as well. But I also go back to what I said before, that I feel like with them trying to make this like the Snow White and Charming of this new iteration of the show, I really don't feel like that they would want to sully that relationship by doing that.
Right, and I would agree. But I mean, I guess
I wouldn't be totally surprised if it happened.
That, like, for it to be some type of a soap opera feeling, because
exactly.
once has had that
this
has had that trend.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they have had their soap opera moments like so and so is this. Dun dun dun. Camera, zoom in action.
Oh no, trust me, I know exactly where you're coming from there. That's why I say that like I don't feel like it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Lucas quote about about nobody wants to be the Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just hope if it does happen, let's just hope that Henry is not the Catherine.
Which he'd be fine with.
He would be fine with that, but I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
And to be fair, Catherine still did get her love interest.
She did.
Yeah.
Back in the Eternal
So it's not all that bad being Catherine.
And yeah, it's not. And basically, actually, Henry wouldn't be the Catherine. It would be Nick that would be the Catherine. If because her and Nick supposedly had Lucy, so that would make him the Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nick the Catherine, not Henry the Catherine.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Like we would definitely say that in a sense, Henry would be Snow and Nick would be Catherine. Because that's not her. That's not Jacinda's true love. Jacinda's true love would be Henry. So yeah, that's what I think.
Regardless if he's the biological father.
Mm-hmm.
Still, yeah, true. But still, nobody wants to be the Catherine.
No. No matter, even if he says that, you could, he doesn't want to be a Catherine.
Nobody wants to be a Catherine.
So Henry and Ella are in a cabin looking for Alice, and Hella finds the infinite maze. Seems Ella is more familiar than she's let on. She tells Henry that when her mother met her stepfather, she gave them lockets that would glow so they could find each other. When she was a girl, her mother left. Her father followed her to this very cabin. He was trying to find a way through when his locket stopped glowing. He came back home and was never the same again. Ella finds a bottle with just enough potion for one. She downs it and runs through the maze as Henry hollers after her. Sabine comes home and finds Jacinda dressing up for a meeting with Nick. He's made reservations at Walrus and Company. Sabine asks if she still has feelings for Nick, and she says it's complicated. She says it a lot this episode.
Everything is complicated.
That's like the name of the episode. It's complicated.
It's yes, I agree.
In fact, that may be the name of this episode. Bill, if you're listening, that's the name of this episode. It's complicated.
It's definitely complicated.
Anyway,
it's complicated.
Rogers is just about to cut into his cake when Ronnie comes by asking for Weaver. While there, she tells Rogers he should reach out to Tilly. She pushes Eloise's cake into the trash as she leaves. Too much sugar will kill you. In the tower, Gothel tries to make something grow to no avail. Drizella shows up. It's time to wake Anastasia. Gothel asks why Drizella wants to wake her. She tells her that Anastasia has magic in her and it belongs to Drizella. Okay, so first of all, glowing lockets. Wasn't that like a thing from Once Upon a Time in Wonderland?
Yes, that was
Iris and Alice had glowing lockets whenever they came together, right?
Yes, they did. Whenever they were close to each other, or
that would help them find each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is exactly what was said in this
this episode. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Similarities. Wow. I love the similarity. I mean, I love similarities when they're mentioned once or twice, not 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. I don't know how many other people caught that because I haven't really heard that being.
Mm-hmm. I think that's just a Wonderland perk. You've never heard of.
No, I watched Wonderland. I didn't catch that. So good on you.
I mean, they didn't look like lockets like those. They were just kind of like pendants, like little like red charms.
Yes,
but they glowed whenever they were near each other. That's how they knew, like how she knew Cyrus was still alive.
Exactly. When even then, it even took a few episodes for that to go red and say, "Oh, Cyrus, he's alive.
Yeah. Now I want to go back and watch Once Upon a Time in Wonderland.
Right? Do y'all want to do our own rendition of
Wonderland
podcast?
just that one, dude. I mean, one of the best scenes of like television period is that scene. You know, it's like it was the teaser of the show when oh god, Will shows up and tells her, you know, Cyrus is alive, and she just like grabs her boots and like takes out all the guards and
right, like just boom,
yeah,
like in the face.
And they're all like distraught and everything, and then as soon as she says Cyrus is alive, she like just like swings into gear and just like
it's like she just turned on a switch and said Cyrus is alive.
Yeah,
man,
I have a reason to live again. Such a good show. Such a good show.
I love it.
Will Scarlet, he had me at Will. I love him.
And I like what they did with his character, that he would ended up being like the Will Scarlet and the Knave of Hearts, and it's really
it was an awesome show. Like I thought that could have went well for like I don't know what 3 seasons. Right?
It should have went on. It should have. Tony, did you have
yes.
Do you have anything to add here, Tony?
Okay, so yeah, just to recap, I love how they incorporated that little aspect from the show and things like that. But has anybody ever noticed that every time we visit Wonderland, it looks different?
Well, this is obviously a different Wonderland anyway than the Wonderland that we've, you know. First of all, the Wonderland. Okay,
there was Wonderland at once proper.
Was there?
Yes, when we found out.
Oh well, yes. So, although that definitely seemed to skew a little more towards the Wonderland that we saw in the show that we're talking on in the spinoff.
Well, no, I mean, to be honest with you, I think it took the aspect of the actual Wonderland movie, in my opinion, for what's proper.
The actual show proper.
Yeah, like I think they took a little bit of the actual movie and you know the movie's aspect of Wonderland at that time.
Well, we only got maybe we only got a few moments really in that Wonderland.
And then there was the actual Once Upon a Time in Wonderland when they had their own design of what Wonderland looked like, you know, in a sense, because this was basically the land we were going to be in.
Well, right, and that's what I was going to say is that, like, in the proper one with Cora and whatnot, I feel like we spent most of our time in Wonderland in the Queen's Court. So that lent itself to being, you know, borrowed heavily from the Disney version, and we never really saw outside of the land. You know, I mean, I think we may have seen the Hatter's house or something, you know, but and I think he was in the forest at one point. In fact, the Hatter came from the Enchanted Forest and then went to Wonderland, didn't he?
I would have thought that he would have derived from Wonderland. And
I believe his story was he came from the Enchanted Forest and then ended up in Wonderland, searching for his daughter.
Now, also though, I have a quick question for you guys. Remember when Zelina had mentioned the Hatter having many hats in the 6 County? You know how there are different dark ones, different saviors. Could there be different Hatters?
Well, obviously,
certainly.
I mean, we visited a tea party in this episode that I would suspect was frequented by a Hatter that is not played by Sebastian Stan.
God, I miss him. Oh my God, the show.
Anyway, look, guys, we're running off into a tangent talking about how great the previous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just had to.
Let's keep on task as Drusilla tried to keep Ronnie on task earlier. Is there anything you want to add to these scenes before I move on to the next set?
My only comment was Ronnie in that cake shoving bit. You're going to fuss about too much sugar. You run a bar and alcohol is nothing but sugar. Yeah, I knew she had to come up with something. It just struck me as funny.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, when it all comes down to it, I think that cake was enchanted. I think that's. I mean, I thought
totally. There was bad juju in that cake.
But was she trying to kill him, or did she like have a thing for him? Because Ivy almost
can't see anything but bad in that cake.
Yeah, but Ivy almost seemed to imply that maybe she had a thing for Hook after what happened between them.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
and even she said in the tower, like, boy, I didn't think that would be so enjoyable. So I could definitely see her being like having feelings for Hook and maybe trying to use the cake. Maybe it had some sort of love potion number 9 in it or something.
It had it. Like I thought that in the end it was basically either she was going to use him for something. All she needed to do was have it in the form of something that he could eat, something that he would enjoy, because she was trying to do something and see if it worked. She was obviously going to use him for something, and it didn't work out because Regina threw out the cake.
But I guess we'll never know.
Never know. It's a throwaway.
So Jacinda meets with Nick about the custody hearing. As they catch up, Nick tells her how her leaving him was what led him to change. He tells her though that there is one paper missing. She makes an excuse and he tells her that everything will be fine. Ella makes her way through the maze and finds an abandoned tea party. The chair at the head of the table turns and it's Alice. He wants to know if her papa's okay, or she wants to know if her papa's okay. Ella finds her mother's locket and tells Alice how she abandoned them. Alice says she has it wrong. Cecilia's heart was poisoned like Cook's and Alice's. She left to protect them and was killed by the Jabberwocky. Jacinda asks why Alice risked being with her father, and she tells her that a sorceress named Drusilla told her that she was cured. Elsewhere in Wonderland, Henry looks for Ella when Drusilla freezes him in his tracks. She has come to poison his heart. In Seattle, Sabine finds Henry tinkering away under the food truck. Sabine asks if this has anything to do with the new lawyer in town. He denies it, but is obviously not feeling great when Jacinda walks in with Nick after their meeting. He tosses her the keys and leaves. All right. What's up with the Star Wars backpack? Did anyone else see that?
I did.
Yes. There was another nod.
Yeah, okay. Screw another nod. How?
I think.
Why?
Why? Yes. Why as well. But
it was definitely a girl's backpack.
Okay.
How so?
It was pink.
Was it pink?
No, it was not.
Yeah, it was. It was
red.
It was red. Sure? You think it was red?
I sworn it was red because basically, if you remember, when Nick came up to meet everybody there, they briefly spoke about Star Wars, and that kind of made me think that did they go and visit Star Wars? Or wait, not Star Wars, but did they go and visit Wonderland and they just kind of left the bag there, or what?
Yeah, but why would they have the bag there? No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Fred, just blame Fred.
I think it was more. Okay, I think it was probably just a nod. I think it was just something.
I think so.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Why?
It was an irritating ass nod.
Right, because
just because it's a Disney property,
and they love Star Wars. It's like
you can just throw shit in there,
but then but then putting that in there leads so many. Like, wait a second. How someone from so that means someone from the 70s or later has visited this realm at some point, and recently I don't yeah.
To me, it seems like.
I mean, look at that. This little nod. That's probably gonna.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the Achilles heel or something like that. But it just seems to be that the tea set just just seems like almost anybody can visit Wonderland at any time, leave something behind, something like that on their travel. Because maybe that's a special request or something that they've never mentioned in any type of rendition of Alice in Wonderland or just Wonderland itself.
It almost made me wonder if like the backpack had something to do with Jacinda's mom. That maybe Jacinda's mom was from our realm.
Oh, Jesus, that's deep.
I don't know. It was just again.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm sure it was just a throwaway nod. But these are the things that that's what it makes your head start. Just putting that nod in there. It's like, hold on a second. Why is that? Where's that? Who?
Why is this here?
Yeah.
Who left it?
Yeah.
And again, ultimately, it's really just nothing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But again, so we'll just move on from this Star Wars backpack that means nothing. Tony, what do you have anything to add?
I guess I was actually piggybacking off of your backpack ordeal there, but and how I thought that somebody basically probably from the past was just crossing the realms and just said, "Oh, hey, I'm trying to leave this backpack here." But that's all that was. But I have a quick question for you guys. Do you remember back in season 3A, Regina had put a protection spell over Henry's heart?
Yes.
And seeing as how this poison heart has to do with the heart and everything, would she have been bounced back, or would they have probably totally forgotten that and just said plot hole?
Okay. I think that they have mentioned Henry's heart being protected earlier in the season. That being said, I think that if Drizella were to stab him in the heart, I don't know if it's the same thing as someone trying to remove his heart.
But it's anything to do with the heart, because if you remember...
Is it anything to do with the heart? Or is it just someone trying to remove your heart?
I think it still has to do with anything with the heart.
I hear you. I just don't know if it's ever actually been fully stated that... Like, I've always just looked at those protection spells as, like I said, as someone trying to, because
anti-removal.
Right. Because I think at one point someone even puts their hand into Emma's chest, but it isn't until they try to remove her heart that they're blown back.
Right.
Cora, she did that in
right,
season 2.
But again, it's not until after she actually physically tries to remove the heart. Like, she has her hand fully in Emma's chest. But it isn't.
I think it's mainly the fact that I think it's mainly the fact that it's another protection spell. I'm sorry to throw that in there again, but it just seems like Emma's heart was protected by light magic. In that sense, nobody put a protection spell over her heart or anything like that. It's just for the fact that I think her heart in general was protected by light magic. Now, the same thing for Henry. Regina placed a protection spell over that. I believe that anything that has to do with the heart, if you're trying to take it, if you're trying to stab it, if you're trying to put a curse over it, I think that anytime you come near somebody's protected heart, you will always get bounced back.
I can see where you're coming from.
Evidence, season 2 with Emma's heart being protected by light magic. Regina protecting Henry's heart with magic. Zelena even doing the same thing. If you remember, when Hook was trying to take her heart, he got bounced back. So I think when it comes to trying to touch somebody's heart in general or go near it, there's always that bounce back, motion. That it's like there's a little barrier over it. So even if you just touch it with something, you get bounce back. But yeah, that was my point.
No problem. Is there anything else anyone else want to add before we move on?
No.
Okay. Drizella is about to poison Henry's heart so that he and Ella can never share true love's kiss. Just as she's about to plunge the poison blade into his chest, Ella and Alice show up and send Drizella back home. Ella tells her the locket began to glow when he was in trouble and maybe she could take a risk after all. They embrace, finally giving in to true love. Back in the Heights, Jacinda chases Henry out of the shop. She tells him that she doesn't have feelings for Nick. She's just scared and confused. She opens up to Henry about the real reason Belfry had Lucy. She signed her over willingly. Henry tells her to tell Nick, and he'll know what to do. Weaver shows up at Ronnie's when he hears she's been looking for him. Regina tells him to drop the act, and he says he has no idea what she's talking about. Okay, really only 2 or 3 things to talk about here. Okay. I mean, you already kind of discussed what you thought about the poison heart thing there with Henry going on there, Tony. As far as it's just okay. The scene with Weaver and Ronnie / Regina and Rumple. I think we've determined amongst ourselves that once we saw Weaver pull out that dagger, that it was kind of, at that point, it's I don't see how you can say he's not awake. So he's obviously hiding. I don't quite understand why he's hiding from Regina. I really don't. I kind of understand why he was hiding from Hook. Because Hook doesn't quite understand what's going on yet, and he feels like it would be hard to make him understand. But Regina, obviously, with that little speech that she gave Rumple, was fully aware. So I really don't quite understand why Rumple didn't play along. Didn't continue to play the charade.
I think that there has to be some sort of. I mean, like Drizella had it over Regina. I think there has to be some catch that Rumple is dealing with on his own that we just don't know about yet.
Right, that just doesn't. I hear you.
That's the only thing that makes any kind of sense as far as why he would not be teaming up with Regina.
Yeah,
he's got his own game going on because he's Rumple, and he always has his own game going on.
But I mean, especially when Regina tells him, Gothel and Drizella are working together. We need to help Henry, and
Belle wouldn't have wanted this.
Right, and
he just doesn't react to any of it.
For just a brief moment, I kind of thought the Belle thing might break him. But then he's like, who's Belle?
Yeah. I was like, oh, if anything's gonna break him, that's gonna be
right.
Nope, that's not it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you would have thought that with it being Rumpelstiltskin himself, the most powerful wizard in all the realms, as they always proclaim. You wouldn't think that poor little Drizella, who's very new to magic, period, could ever win over Rumple of all people, unless you have his dagger. That's his weakness.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to see exactly what Rumple. I think that's now that we know what's going on with Hook, and we've got his backstory, and we with Alice or / Tilly and everything else. I think my biggest thing now is, I think I'm more concerned about how and why with Rumple than I am about the curse at this point. I'm just more interested in that part anyway,
Definitely.
All right, so we got one last set of scenes to discuss here. Ella and Henry return to camp. They tell Hook that Alice is fine and she's sure that they'll be together again. Tiana comes and says a stranger has come to camp claiming to know Henry. The stranger is Nick. This is, oh God, I don't know why I wrote these notes like this. The stranger is Nick. It's Jack. Henry's met him. Henry, God, let me start this over again, guys. Ella and Henry return to camp. They tell Hook and Alice, they tell Hook that Alice is fine and she's sure that they'll be together again. Is Tiana her name?
Yes, Tiana.
I put Tierra, didn't I? Who corrected that for me?
I did it. While I was putting in my notes, I was like, oh,
No,
what is this?
thank you, Tony. All right. Tiana comes and says a stranger has come to camp claiming to know Henry. That stranger is Nick. But it's in this land, it's Jack. Henry met him when they first came to this realm. Jacinda and in Seattle, Jacinda and Nick wait for Lucy outside the group home. Jacinda worries that Lucy won't want to come home, and Nick reassures her that she did the right thing. Lucy runs out into her mother's arms. She tells her mom everything's okay, and Jacinda introduces Lucy to her dad. Henry drinks his sorrows away at Ronnie's, and he tells her how stupid love is, and she cuts him off. She tells him that Belfry may be locked up, but they have bigger fish to fry. Ronnie's heading to San Francisco to find someone that Belfry pushed out of town a while ago, someone that hates her guts, and Henry decides to tag along. Rogers looks for Tilly and finds her under the troll bridge. He's come with a chessboard to start a weekly game. He thought he would find himself when he solved this case, but he just feels lost. Tilly says maybe they can be lost together.
Aww.
Jacinda drops by Ronnie's looking for Henry, and Remy tells her they took a road trip to California. At the tower, the elevator doors open, and Drizella enters with Anastasia's casket. Her and Gothel drag the lid away to find it empty. Okay, so did you guys catch the Pixar nod there?
I missed it. What was it?
The caterer Remy.
Oh, Remy! Wait a minute. Yeah.
Isn't that the rat's name from Ratatouille?
Yes.
Oh
my God.
It was like
that's been a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason why.
That has been a minute.
And really, to be honest with you, Ratatouille wasn't even one of my favorite.
No, but just I don't think I'm wrong though with him. Like he's a caterer.
Yep.
He runs a catering. This guy Remy runs a catering business. I don't know. I mean, that definitely. That's where my head went.
Well, did you catch in the maze?
Go ahead.
One of those signs pointing this way or the other. One of them said up.
Oh, like up, like I got you. Yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah. I mean.
Oh my God! These nods. Sometimes I catch them. Sometimes I don't. In this case, I didn't.
But anyway, yeah. So I definitely think that was a shout out to Ratatouille. Anyway, I think that was really all. Let me see, Rogers. It's really cool that to see Alice and Hook come together like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been kind of a sucker for father-child relationship stories, that type of thing. It's really cool that they are able to come together, whereas in the Wish realm or whatever, the Land of Broken Promises, they they can't come together because
But on the other hand, have we actually seen them physically touch?
No, but at the same time, that once they did physically touch in the other realm, like they couldn't even be in the same vicinity. That's why Alice ran to Wonderland.
No, they were within the same vicinity and everything was cool.
Yeah, but
it was after they touched, and he went into pain. She freaked out and left.
Okay, here's how I interpreted that. Is that whatever Drizella gave Tilly to make her think that there was going to be a cure was really just some sort of barrier to last until they came together. And then, do you see what I'm saying?
I don't think Gisela did a damn thing.
I think that she was trying to hurt. I mean, well, obviously she was just trying to get them to Wonderland to. I don't know. That's a lot. I mean, she's even better at planning the Rumple. If she realized that when she poisoned or when she did that, that Henry would find Alice, and then they would bring that to Hook, and then Hook would, yeah, there was a lot of like, how would she even know that Hook was Alice's dad?
Good question.
How would Drizella even know that to try to come, to try to put that plan into motion?
My thing is, I really think that somewhere along the way, um, I think just not just in the but Drizella met Gothel and took her same cue with poisoning of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or it just seemed like maybe she might maybe Gotham might have been the one who to actually poison Hook's heart at some moment. Maybe they met outside the tower one day. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
That very well could be. That very well could be.
I'm thinking just because I guess she thought about something, or maybe they may have had another confrontation. Maybe there could have been some fighting words, and then she just said, "I'm going to cast a curse over your heart, and you won't be able to get close to your baby or anymore, or something like that." Like maybe it was just something that was a bad, confrontation, I guess, that turned into a curse. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Drizella had anything to do with the cursing over Hook's heart. I just thought that maybe had she heard through the grapevine, maybe and then enhance that issue along with trying to
Well, that's what I'm.
so far cure it.
Yeah. I wasn't saying that I thought that she had anything to do with poisoning Hook, but I thought that I just was trying to figure out how. Like I said, her plan was to get Henry and Jacinda into Wonderland,
Mm-hmm.
so that she could poison Henry's heart. But in order to do that, she had to realize that Alice's dad was with, was Hook, was with, Henry and his group.
Mm-hmm.
So
Something just tells me that I think Gothel knew what would become.
well, okay, that's true. I didn't even think about that. If Drusilla's been hanging out with Gothel and having Gothel train her and stuff like that, then maybe Gothel told her about Hook.
Because their magic is somewhat similar. They both know plant magic.
No, I understand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe that was just okay. Drizella, to show her evilness, she's gonna take the nearest, solid thing and plunge it into the prince's heart. That's what I was thinking. But who knows? I mean, I'm thinking, I'm thinking that to have Hook's heart poisoned, I think sometime down the line they may have like Hook and Gotham may have had another confrontation and say, okay, well, I don't like what you said, or I don't like what's going on, so I'm going to punish you by poisoning your heart. That way that you won't be able to get close to our daughter anymore, or something.
Right.
That's what I think. Like, of the reason why his heart was poisoned in the first place. But yeah.
Well, I mean, that's another story we have yet to see. I'm sure it'll probably be played out. I mean, it does definitely seem that they're spending a lot of time in letting us, giving us like Hook's backstory and Alice's backstory, and I'm glad that they are.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like we've seen a lot of Hook's story in the other 1 to 6, but well, not 1 to 6, but 2 to 6. But now we are still studying upon Hook's backstory, but in a kind of a wish Wish Hook backstory.
Right.
But here's my last final question upon this. Wouldn't this seeing as how Hook is Wish Hook, wouldn't this basically be Wish Alice then? Would she take the same,
Well, she was born in this land of broken promises.
Mhm.
Because Hook was given a map to a distant realm, which is where that's how he made his way to the realm he's in now. So I wouldn't say she's Wish Alice, because I would imagine that there is an Alice in that Wish realm.
Right. It'd be nice, but I don't know if they would ever, put that into motion.
But yeah, okay, so we got the wrench thrown into, Jacinda and Henry here. Do you think anything is going to actually come of Jacinda and Nick, or do you think?
I think Nick is going to push forward for something to happen to create.
Right. But do you think Jacinda will give in, or do you think that ultimately the show will more or less, this is supposed to be their true love? You know what I'm saying?
I think in some type of way, Nick is going to try and force his way back and say, okay, hey, I'm a changed man. Maybe she'll like me now. Of whatever failed between us is now different because I'm who I am now. So
right.
I think he's going to try it, but I think ultimately she's going to, I think she's going to have a little bit of common sense and say, no, I'm going to see what happens between me and Henry.
Right.
Hopefully, by the time this happens, hopefully they'll have a stronger connection, despite what may happen. If Regina doesn't stop, them growing fond of each other.
Okay, and you have anything to add before either of you, Monica or Tony? You have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Then I think that is going to do it for the super mega episode. I believe that is the last of our scenes. We do have some any questions answered this episode. Any actually answered this episode. Well, I mean, and I guess this is 2 episodes. I mean, we found out that Alice is, or we were confirmed. I mean, everyone knew that Alice was Hook's daughter. I mean, but it was like when I actually shouted at the screen, I was like, I knew it. Then I was like, oh, wait a second, everyone knew it.
Right. Like, I was in the middle. I was in the middle of watching it at night at 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And I was screaming, whispering, whispering and screaming.
Right. Right. As soon as he said the name, I was like, ah. But like I said, a second later, you're like, well not that big a deal because everyone knew it. I mean, they telegraphed that like it was.
But I was still excited regardless.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, it's always cool when you get something right. It's always cool. But then of course, now we're still left with, we still don't know where the new curse came from. I mean, we know that Drizella was trying to cast it, but we still have that hasn't been confirmed. I mean, for all we know, Tremaine could have cast it, or even Gothel could have cast it. Behind there's so much conniving, so much scheming going on here. It's hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately Tremaine came out of the woodwork and had been. She's 8 steps ahead of everyone else.
Right.
I mean, who knows?
It's once they're going to say like, oh, it's this, it's that, but all along it's going to be the person that we first thought about, which was Tremaine.
Right. But I mean, out of our list of questions here left for season 7, there's actually quite a few we can probably take off the list. I think the biggest ones we're left with are, what's Rumple's deal? I don't think it's anything bad or malicious this time around, which is a good thing.
I don't think so.
But I still don't quite understand exactly what's going on. But I mean, that's if Rumple doesn't have a deal, then there's something wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rumple's gotta have a deal. There's got to be something extra going on with Rumple.
Right.
And then of course,
Rumple wouldn't be Rumple.
who is the Guardian? fair money's on Alice being the Guardian, because that's kind of where they telegraphed, it going.
That would
But
not be cool.
who know? I mean, I don't know. I almost could kind of see Gothel being the Guardian by taking the Dark One's powers or something. I don't know.
I mean, we can kind of see that with Belfry warning Drusilla over and over and over again. Like, look, like you don't know what you've done. You don't know this. You don't know that.
And I think we've yet to really see,
what Gothel's really
capable of. Exactly. But we will in the weeks to come. But let me see. Is there any no news and speculation? Okay. Let's see if we can get just 3 of us here this time. Let's see. Well, go ahead.
What's Nick's deal? Nick has a deal.
You think so?
Nick. I don't trust Nick.
Nick or Jack or both?
Not so much Jack, because we don't know much about Jack. Jack just came up out of nowhere and said, "Hey, I'm Jack."
Marmy for you.
Yeah, but Nick, I think Nick has a secret agenda to try and get back Jacinda.
Yeah, Jacinda. Yeah.
So yes, I don't trust Nick.
All right, so on to this week's news. Let's see if the 3 of us can do this. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right.
News.
That was decent. That was decent. Better than before. All right. That being said, there is no news this week. There is, however, of course, the ratings. Do you want to give us the ratings, Tony?
I guess. So according to hold on, I had them right here. Give me a second. I'm getting the ratings.
Everyone vamp while Tony gets the ratings.
Yeah. I'm getting the ratings. I just have them in here in front of my face.
I got them right here already. If you want me to just go ahead and say them.
Go ahead, because I can't find them now.
We were talking before the show. It's pretty much held steady with 0.5 and 2. The first hour was 0.5 with 2.5 million viewers. And then the second hour was a 0.4, unfortunately, with 2.01 million viewers. So we lost 500,000 viewers from 1 hour to the next. The first hour, we didn't lose, but we were beaten by MacGyver, Hell's Kitchen, and Blind Spot. We fell just below Blind Spot had a 0.6. We had a 0.5. The only one we beat in that time slot was Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, who had a 0.2 and less than just over 500,000 viewers. Yeah. But then in the second hour, we lost to Hawaii 5-0 and Dateline. Hawaii 5-0 won that hour with 9 million viewers and a 1 share. But we had a 0.4 with a 2 shares. Yeah, so
I want to know, how do we lose against a news telecast?
Ratings aren't great, guys. Ratings aren't great.
Support the show, please.
All I can say is this is live plus same day, like we were discussing before. It's not live plus 7 day, so there is a chance that the DVR and on-demand ratings bump it up slightly, but not that much. It's not great. Again, this is a move to Friday. We do see that there aren't many shows getting great viewings on Fridays anyway, so that's another thing that can add to them. And then of course there's just the synergy the show has as far as it being a Disney property, and there's a few shows that it seems that like Disney has kept on the air even though they don't any other network. Yeah, any other network would cancel them with the numbers, but Disney sees the ability to use it as sort of a cross-platform,
I don't know. I mean, I think people are still hurt about a couple things.
Yeah. What about like leaving characters and different things like that?
Right, leading characters. We got three of them to come and visit y'all. But I mean, I don't know.
You have Zelina coming up as well.
Right, you got Zelina for multiple. So it's not like they're like Jennifer Morrison and Emily DeRobin, which they were, both coming back from one episode. We got her.
All right. But so that does it for this week, guys. That being said, we want to hear from you guys. Not again, another week with not a lot of feedback. We want to hear from you guys any way you can, be it Twitter, Facebook, email, whatever it be. You can always email us at greetingsfromstorybrooke@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/greetingsfromstorybrooke. And then what was the third one? Twitter, Facebook. Oh, and I don't think there is a third one. I'm lost.
I don't think so. I think it's just Facebook or Twitter.
No, Facebook or Twitter. It's late, guys. It's been a long episode. It's time for us to go.
Yes.
So
we got work in the morning. And
yes.
Land without magic.
Tony, if anyone wants to hit you up on social media, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Hoops900. That's HOOPS 900.
And then Monica, if anyone wanted to reach you, how would they find you?
Twitter at Monica Sedai.
SEDAI?
SEADI.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Close.
Well, hey, correct.
Tag.
Oh, it's right there. Oh, I see it. It's right at the bottom of the screen right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you can find me at Inevitable Hawk on Twitter, HAWKE, Facebook.com/Bobby Hawk, HAWKE. And, of course, I answer the Twitter and Facebook for greetings when I get a chance. And you can always find me every week here hosting Greetings from Storybrooke. Well, I guess not every week because we won't be here for the next 2 weeks, seeing as Greetings will be on a bit of a hiatus. Give us a chance to take a break ourselves and catch up. After an episode like tonight, I think I might need a week off. So,
yes, thank you.
That being said, guys, until next week, or until next time at least, greetings
from
Storybrooke. Maybe Hyperion Heights.
And we're out.